Good morning and happy holidays. This is Katy Huff with Setting Yourself Free, a podcast that we encourage people to be, do, and have all that God has created you to be. And I am thrilled that we get to talk to you today about some of the challenges in this time and season. So before I do that, though, I want to remind you where you can follow me and my guests, like Dr. Troy Spurrill, who is here today, who is the doctor, the an extraordinary doctor from Synapse Health, and I'm excited that he's going to help us get through this season in a healthy style. And I want you to be able to follow us on Facebook and Spotify and Rumble and Instagram and Twitter, and especially go to YouTube and click that subscribe button so you can follow us. So I am thrilled to have you here, Dr. Spurrill. Merry Christmas, the most
Yes, Merry
time
Christmas.
of the year. Yay.
I love it.
Yeah, and it is one of those times where there's a lot of pressures, a lot of stress, there's a lot of preparing. We always say that God didn't ask us to strive, He wanted us to just rest. And resting during the season of Christmas obviously is not always the easiest to do. And so I'm sure you, as an amazing physician and see a ton of patients that have a lot of different things going on at this time, how would you like to introduce this time where people isolate sometimes, which obviously increases depression in when the time is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year?
Yeah, it is a unique season that way because as we said, kind of heading into this, we know the reason for the season, or at least most Christians do. And so the challenge becomes that it is so meaningful to so many people because they have gatherings, they love Jesus. And a lot of people struggle this time of year if they've lost a loved one recently, and this is the first Christmas that they've not been with their loved one, whether it be a child, a parent, or a spouse, or just a family member. And so we tend to have a lot of people that enter into a depression because they want to experience that season with that loved one. So that can be a very challenging um, time. And my heart goes out to you. My prayers go out to all my patients who have lost a loved one this season. And so in the last 2 weeks, I've probably had 20 conversations with this exact scenario and just walk people through. And there's not much you can say. They know for the most part that they're in a better place and that they're doing well, but it doesn't take the hurt away. It doesn't take the pain of the loss. And so it's important for people to know that you want to experience that. It's okay to feel that and to continually stay in prayer. And it's important to surround yourself with people who understand that. And so still do your best to celebrate the season, get out, whether it be to see lights or to go to church. And then it's okay to be quiet and reflective and just be by yourself and pray or cry, whatever you need to do. It's important to go through that process. And there's an actual physical act of surrendering and giving it to God. And so just make sure you kind of go through that process. The other side of that coin is that sometimes we get lost in the reason for the season, and we miss that point. We get too busy because of shopping and gifts and planning and the food, the stress levels. So this one's quite a bit easier to address. We have a lot of solutions for that. And the top one is to really make sure that you prioritize sleep during this time of year and do your best to delegate and be okay with not getting stuff 100% right all the time. So the enemy of done is perfection.
Mm,
And
yeah,
so it's important to just know that all those things that you do for people during the season, they're great, but they're not the thing.
right.
What people want are to be with you, to experience the season with you. And so it's a little bit different than the loss of a loved one, in that it's all about kind of bringing you back to the focus. And doesn't mean you can't do a lot of things. A lot of people just get a lot of value from serving others during this time of the year. In the healthcare world, this is a crazy time of the year. So we have, even today, I get up to get going, start my day about 5 a.m. and before 6 a.m. I had 8 emergency requests, messages before I even started working at 6 a.m. to kind of,
Yeah, as you said, before your feet even hit the ground, huh?
before the feet hit the ground and stuff. And a lot of it too, because in our world, people will, I've looked after many families for over 25 years. So a lot of times the kids that I treated when they were kids grow up, move away. Now they're back for Christmas. And then they mention, as they're coming back in the week of Christmas, I wonder if Dr. Troy could squeeze me in to get, or whatever it is, if there's something going on. So we get that all week long here, and a lot of healthcare clinics do across the country. So it's a busy season for that. And then historically I will always get messages on my portal, because family have brought up conversations and they just found out that their brother has not been doing well with their health, and he's here for a week and a half, and can you help us? Can we get him in? Can we get him started? Stuff like that. So we expect that, we've planned for it, and so we've got a good system for doing that. But many other businesses are the same thing. So it's not just purchasing and preparing for food and stuff like that. There's just a lot of unique things because of people gathering, that that stress with work and stuff can increase. And there is a lot more you can do about that. But prioritizing sleep is a big deal, and reducing your inflammatory food intake. So sugar, chocolate, all the goodies that people make. It's important to really focus on a couple things. For me, there's 2 words I say in my head all day long: prayer and discipline. Prayer and discipline. And so discipline is one of the fruit of the spirit that I really focus on during this time of the season. And prayer is for the people and for myself and my family, just constantly being in prayer throughout the day. And it is miraculous how calming that is. And this might be a little weird for some people. My wife just finished a 3-day fast and feels amazing and feels great. But fasting around this season is great, because if you go somewhere, it's super easy to say no to the chocolates that someone brought that are sitting on the table when you're fasting. It's a lot easier. I shouldn't say easy. I shouldn't say easy.
Well, it's focused, right?
Yes, there it is. So it is something that is actually really good. If you're not prone to fasting or don't know fasting, ease into it. But fasting is so good during this time of the year, and just listening to your body when it comes to getting rest.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's our own personal stressors, because we put a to-do list together, like you were saying, and instead of giving the list to Santa Claus,
Yeah,
you're doing that, checking it off and making sure you're not naughty or nice and all that things. But it's like, oh my gosh, you find yourself exhausted, like you were saying. So sleep is so important. And I always remember someone who shared with me, done is better than perfect, like you were saying. It doesn't have to be perfect.
yeah,
That's the stressor. And the other thing obviously that I always worry about is those that have, like you said, lost loved ones and they're alone, because then that isolation obviously is really hard and increases, like we were talking about, the depression, and sometimes eating not just the inflammatory foods, but also possibly even drinking too much during this season as
yeah.
well, as a like a Band-Aid, I guess I would say.
Yes. And one thing to note, the area of the brain that deals with depression, it's called the basal ganglia. It helps set the tone for muscles and emotions. When you get up and physically start to move, that's what jumpstarts that area of the brain. So a lot of times when you're emotionally depressed, it depresses the muscle function. You don't physically feel like getting up off that couch. And so getting up and getting out is a good thing. Fresh air, moving. I even have a lot of people have those little shakers or the power plates and things that they get on. Even that can help you with your mood.
Yeah.
So very, very important to know that that just physically doing something. I had one patient, and this is true for anxiety as well, but one patient that would call when he's having a panic attack, and he was overseas. He was working in Scotland at the time, and from Miami, originally from Minnesota, and we had to. I was on a call with him in Scotland, and I had to get him to stop what he was doing because he's out walking, but he was still kind of amped up, and had him stop and do push-ups in the middle of the sidewalk in Scotland. And that physical activity was able to calm the area of the brain enough where he felt more in control, could get his breathing back and everything. So the physical activity, especially for guys, this is more true for guys, but that physical activity, the muscle feeding back to the brain, really calms that area of the brain. So whether it's depression or anxiety, so very, very important to know how important that physical activity can be.
Well, and obviously, I love the fact that I always say one of my coping skills is exercise because of the endorphins, because the mood elevating chemicals that happen in your body, they can, like you said, switch that depressive state into, okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, and be able to move forward.
Yeah, it's kind of like, think of it like a brain that's just dark, and then as you start using your muscles, it's kind of like a crank that winds up and the light starts to come on, and so the brain just starts to light up. That's actually what happens when you actually look at it through a PET scan. You just see it slowly start to light up when you start to stimulate the muscles and get that physical activity and increase the blood flow. So the when that old saying, the lights are on but nobody's home, that's not quite true. The
Right. Well, and I was thinking about, so when you're feeling a little dark and a little blue, then you need to do the exercise so you'll see the lights coming on.
That's exactly right. Yep.
And it also increases your, your heart rate for one, and also your breathing. So deep breathing also can help take away, some anxiety or depression at this time of the year. And it can end up being the most wonderful time of the year, which is
Yes. Yeah.
supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Gathering people.
Apparently oxygen's important for your brain.
Isn't that the truth? In case, note to self, breathing is good.
Yes. Something I ask all my patients to do, keep breathing.
And it's just, the ABCs of life. Breathe, walk, and move. And a body in motion is always in motion, right?
Yeah, and those foundational things is what we have to go back to when we're struggling. So that's why it's important. These are simple things, but they're important to go back to that and then build off of that. And I want people to hear this, because when you start to get into a depressed function for too long a period, and it only takes 2 weeks, 2 weeks of depressed function, and then we start to actually reverse our breathing process. So we use muscles of respiration, which are our neck muscles, versus expanding the ribs. And what ends up happening is we get this huge shift in carbon dioxide and oxygen. And when you get an imbalance with carbon dioxide in the blood, it actually triggers anxiety. This is why people with depression can end up getting anxiety, and then you feel like this wave. You feel, they call it bipolar, but you feel these ups and downs, and you think, what is wrong with me? And the reality is, it's still the end stage of a depressed function that led to a carbon dioxide oxygen imbalance. So just by regulating your breathing, it actually helps bring that back into a more balanced state. So the breathing is actually very, very important. There's a great book out there called Breath by James Nestor, and he has exercises at the end of the book that can help a lot of people.
Wow. Yeah, and as a nurse, I remember the ABCs was the airway, the breathing, and the circulation. So
Yeah.
it's as elementary as A, B, and C, and obviously moving will help that.
Yes.
So, excuse me, that's awesome. So simple things, and obviously I would encourage people to not be alone during
Yeah.
this season. Whatever it takes, going to the neighbors, calling your family, calling your friends, going to the church, obviously. There's a lot of things. This is one of the busiest times of the year, obviously. And people are busy, but they're still gathering. And that's so important. Wouldn't you agree?
I would, and I would encourage the people who are not alone to just have awareness of the people around them who might be alone and invite them over. And so, perfect example, my wife and I will be traveling, and we know of someone my wife worked with many years ago in the hospital, and she's retired now, but she's alone this year. And so my wife called her, and she did not want to necessarily. She had an excuse or a reason why not to go out and do things, which was the same thing last year. And we bought some gifts for her. We're going to show up and take her out for lunch and just enjoy the day. And last year, she spoke about that last year for 3 or 4 months afterwards. So it's one of those things. It's the same scenario, and people who are depressed will get this. They don't want it right up until they have it when it comes to the company.
Right.
And then they're thankful for it because they feel the lift that it gives them. But right up until that point, they don't want it. That's so common. It's so funny how we are, but and they're just being themselves as far as how they feel. But that's important for people to recognize that if you have the time or just build the time in and look for someone who may be alone this season, and even if you just bless them with a quick little visit and a card or something to just let them know that you're thinking of them, you will be shocked how far that goes and the impact. And I tell people, just say a simple prayer. Lord, who do you want me to bless this season? And then that's a great question. And when you ask a great question, be silent and just see who comes in your head.
And it's amazing just you sharing that and talking about that. I've been doing just that actually, and around my neighborhood, because there's a gal that lives across the street and she lives alone, and she's in her 60s, and going through the neighborhood and just the list of people that are single and are alone, in hopes that they have someone to spend Christmas with, and if not, like you said, at least knock on the door and bring him some cookies or a card, or like you said. So, well, it
That's
is the most wonderful time of the year, and I'm so grateful that we could come on and just encourage people in this time, and to, remember Jesus is the reason for the season, and
yes.
that you would, keep that focus and just know that you are loved and God loves you and we love you, and we just want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And just take these tips, and hopefully they'll serve you in this season. So anything else you want to say, Mr. Dr. Troy?
No, I just pray that people do enjoy the season, take care of your bodies, and 2024 is going to be such an amazing year, and it is a year where we get back our identity as a nation and as individuals. So keep yourself healthy, and just know that God has big plans for you. But it's important to keep yourself healthy and take care of your temple, and just watch what happens in 2024. There are some miraculous things happening.
Amen. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Troy Spurrill from Synapse. And for all of you, again, please follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Spotify, Apple, Audible, you name it, we're there. And I just want to say, follow Katy Huff Ministries at katy-huff.com and learn more about my retreats, my book, and my coaching. So God bless you. Merry Christmas. And I wish you a happy start to 2024. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katy Huff with Katy Huff Ministries, and this is Bella Jean, and we're coming to you today to talk to you about setting yourself free by having First, a great night's sleep. How's that going to happen? By using My Pillow. My Pillow has incredible products. Bella Jean even has her own dog bed and loves it. She sleeps well at night, so do we. Because we also have the topper, we have the pillows, we've used the sheets, we have the towels, and we even have the slippers. So we are a family that loves My Pillow as much as my Bella Jean, and I'm hoping that your dog will love it as much as ours, and that you'll go to mypillow.com/unmasked. Again, that's mypillow.com/unmasked, and you'll get incredible discounts for your family to be setting themselves free to having a great night's sleep and having an amazing holiday season with My Pillow products. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katy Huff with Katy Huff Ministries, and I'm coming to talk to you today about setting yourself free. And what that means is it begins with taking control of your finances. So I was unfortunately introduced to a number of different financial planners that really didn't put me before their profit. And I'm glad to say that Kirk Elliott, PhD, their philosophy is people over profits. They don't rush you. They have a holistic approach. They took my SEP, they invested it into gold and silver, which obviously is diversifying. It may be for you, it may not, but I will tell you this, KirkElliottPhD.com/unmasked, they will go beyond making you comfortable and knowing where your money's going. And so I would just say, take control of your finances. Go to KirkElliottPhD/unmasked for a discount and great advice and peace of mind that you'll have.